SMSU hosted its 6th annual Celebration of Excellence for student athletes. Many awards and recognitions were given, including Male Athlete of the Year awarded to C.D. Johnson and Female Athlete of the Year awarded to Devin Dietrich. This year's student speaker, Paul Muecke.
Thank you for the warm welcome and introduction. I really appreciate it, and I'm truly honored to be able to come here and speak and share my 6 years and stories here at Southwest. Kelly Loft sent me a text message around the end of July asking if I was going to make it back for homecoming this year. I responded, letting him know I was going to be in attendance. He said, "Great, we'd like you to speak at the Celebration of Excellence too." With a quick change in my flight departure, I let him know I would be truly honored to be able to speak and share some of my stories and what it feels to me to be a Mustang. As Aaron Zemer said, I'm Paul Muecke, and I had the privilege and honor to be a part of the Mustang football program for the past 6 years. I graduated this past May with my MBA from Southwest, and most currently I've begun my career in Memphis, Tennessee, working for Hormel Foods. As they say in the South, y'all are probably wondering what a Minnesotan is doing down in Tennessee. Well, it was an opportunity that I earned to begin my career with an amazing company that is an innovative leader in not only the food industry, but our economy. It was exactly what SMSU gave me, an opportunity to develop, grow, and succeed. This is probably a great time to touch on my nickname that I am sure many of you in this room now know, but don't know how I got it. Being a bit older does have a few benefits as a college student, but does come with some added responsibilities. Well, like most college students, some of us guys went on the football team decided to plan a spring break trip for our 2008 spring break. Josh Shudlick, Blake Wilson, Levi Bullerman, Nick Wagner, Mike Liggins, and I all loaded in cars and headed over to Wisconsin Dells for a weekend of fun. We stayed at one of those fancy hotels where there was an indoor water park, restaurants, and dance clubs. But as anyone knows, we were all excited to get going down to the water park. And I had to make note for everyone, don't forget your room keys, your towels, anything else that's needed. We don't want to come back up here. Sure enough, somebody goes, "Okay, Dad, we got it." It stuck and has not failed me yet. Guys continue to point out my fatherly ways or even ask me for advice. From there on out, I was known as Dad, and it has even happened when a new freshman comes up to me asking, "Dad, what's your real name?" My journey to SMSU began in January of 2005, when now current athletic development director Tim Steinbach was then the defensive coordinator and assistant head football coach. He was up in the Twin Cities recruiting and somehow found his way into the athletic offices at Osseo Senior High. I remember being a little upset that I had to leave one of my favorite classes, Intro to Auto. At the time I was rebuilding a lawnmower engine. And I wasn't really excited to go meet with a football coach that I probably wasn't even going to be interested in. I kind of figured at the time my plan was to go to a Division III and play football for 4 years and then continue on in my career. But all changed as I met Coach Steinbach that morning, where he invited me to come on an official visit. He told me all about the campus and the programs of Southwest Minnesota State University. We talked football, but really more about an opportunity to grow, achieve, and be a part of something. I agreed to all this and liked his sales pitch, so I gathered all the information he gave and headed home and told my parents we would be going to Southwest Minnesota State University for an official visit. Just like many Minnesota winter nights, it decided to snow 10 inches just to make our trip down a little bit more interesting. I actually thought my mom and I weren't going to come down, but she said we had made a promise and committed to them that we were going to come. We began the venture down. I went on tours, met with professors, talked with the coaches, and got to sit down with Coach Eisness, the head coach at the time. Coach Eisness reiterated what most of the coaches had said about campus, the football program, and the future. But what stuck out most with me was how he spoke of a life beyond football and how this opportunity will set me up for success and provide goals for a future. I didn't tell the coaches, but before I left Marshall that day in January, I'd already made my decision that I wanted to come to SMSU. Even with it being covered in several feet of snow, no new regional event center, no Sweetland dorm, no on-campus apartments, a student center that wasn't even finished being built, and several other things that have now been added as I grew here. What stuck out was the opportunity to grow and be a part of something here, and most of the people that made it an exciting place that I wanted to be. About a week later, Coach Steinbach and I chatted again, and I let him know I wanted to come to SMSU. The papers were signed. It was official. I was enrolled freshman at SMSU. August of 2005 came rather quickly, and my career began here. Initially, I was homesick. I called my parents ready to quit and transfer home to a school in the cities. But my mom, as always, told me, "You made a commitment. Let's see how it goes for the first semester, and we'll decide then." Well, we never had that talk ever again. And I made my home here on the campus and in the beautiful dorm of Antipodes, which I don't think anyone lives in anymore. By the end of the first year, I was hooked, and I had fallen in love with this place and all the people within it. Like most freshman football players, I was redshirted. I spent my time on the scout team my first season, earning my stripes, getting bruised and beat up day in and day out. My second year, I came in excited, hoping to have a great chance to make the travel squad and back up John Kubat. That didn't quite happen. My plans got derailed a bit, and I ended up getting a little sick and had to spend a few nights in the Marshall Hospital. The coaches, Laura and I, decided to apply for a medical redshirt that year. Coach Steinbach and I had a lot of talks after practices and throughout the year, and kind of guided me in a direction to go and pursue my MBA. And so I did that. And to make a real long story short, I was granted the medical red shirt, didn't begin my 4 years of eligibility until the fall of 2007, and I was finally considered a redshirt freshman. As I think of my career, 4 years went by so fast. I truly cherish the opportunity and time that I was given to be able to play in every game that I did and be a part of this football team for 6 years. Some of my greatest memories are starting the first time ever and having Coach Steinbach ask me the night before if I was ready. I looked at him and I'm like, "Are you kidding? Of course." The events that stick out also are beating Winona State, getting Coach Sauter his first win last year in the home opener, being selected by my teammates to be a team captain, which was an amazing privilege that I cherish. I could go on and on with stories and memories from games and SMSU, but football here is so much more than just a game. I will always remember the little things of getting taped up in the training room before every practice and game, the walk to the field, sitting outside the PE doors, untying our shoes, cracking jokes, and still razzing guys about who beat who in practice. The goosebumps I would get before we ran down the concourse and into the rec, the fans roaring, the band playing the school song, and seeing a goal in everyone's eyes to achieve something. These are only some of the moments and memories that we all experience in sports, but there were 2 events that happened in my time here that really changed our character and our team. We experienced 2 events that you want to never happen. Ben Bundy passing away in February of 2010 brought this team closer together than it has ever been. We always keep Ben in our thoughts and prayers every time we step out onto the field, whether it's practice or a game. He is always with us. The accident that Derek Klinkner had in May of 2010 was something that many of us couldn't believe. The strongest, toughest, smartest football player I'd ever gotten the honor to play with was no longer able to play the game he loved so much. The Mustang family that we are saw the new challenge that Derek was presented and how he attacked every day and continues to set, conquer, and surpass his goals in all. He is an inspiration that we all look up to and strive just to have an ounce of his perseverance. He pushes us all to be a better person and a Mustang each day. Along with many athletic memories, there are several opportunities I had to represent SMSU in the community and with the NCAA on a national level. I was selected to be a part of the NCAA National Student Athlete Advisory Committee, also known as SAC. SAC has several focuses. One, to raise money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation at the national, state, and local levels. This past year, we raised over $400,000 for Make-A-Wish and continue to raise the bar each year. The second responsibility of National SAC is to be the student athlete's voice on all legislative decisions regarding rules and regulations of college athletics at the Division II level. I think that what being a Mustang means to me is several things. Being a Mustang allows you to grow and achieve. And secondly, but most importantly to me, is the family that I've grown with over the years. We were not just a team, but we are a family. SMSU is not a place that we all went to college. It is, for me, and was, a place that I went to be a part of something, and what I found was a Mustang family. We grew together in everything. A friend of mine told me that people are what make a place memorable, and those are the truest words I have ever heard. As I moved away from Marshall, 6 years of memories raced back through my mind. I was driving on Highway 23, had my truck loaded full of stuff, trailer attached with, I couldn't believe all the stuff I had over 4 or 6 years. And it was loaded full, really, of memories, a lifetime full of stories, and truly knowing that the last 6 years were worth it all. I want to thank several people before I close here today. The coaching staff from when I was recruited for giving a slow, short kid a chance. Coach Sauter and all the coaches from my senior year for a season full of memories that I will cherish for a lifetime. President Danaher and the entire university for a wonderful education I received. Chris Hemeleski, Rolly Miller, and the rest of the athletic department. Laura and Patty, our trainers, who are basically moms to us, seeing many of us in some of our best moments and not so good ones too. To my teammates and the entire SMSU athletic team family. But most of all, I need to thank my parents who are here today, Orion and Sue. They've been there for me in everything that I've done and supported me through it all, no matter what my decision has been or where to go or what road to travel down. They have never let me quit anything, stressing the importance of commitment and honor. They are always and have been my biggest fans, with my dad making sure he's in the stadium for warm-ups because he doesn't want to miss anything. And my mom getting worried when I'm on the bottom of a pile because she doesn't want me to get squashed by all those big guys like Matt Stark. Mom and Dad, thank you again. So to close here today, it was an amazing honor to be able to speak here today. Congratulations to all of you for the awards you received for your athletic and academic achievements. It is a challenge to perform at a high level in the classroom as well as in sports. I encourage you all to keep pushing yourselves in both to continue with the successes. I want to thank you all for the attention and attendance. I look forward to coming back and watching SMSU continue to grow and evolve as the years go by. It was a treat to be able to watch a game in person this weekend and not have to sit on my couch and watch it on my laptop in Memphis, Tennessee. I will always be cheering for SMSU and will never forget my family back here in Marshall. Being a Mustang is a great honor, and I hold it close to my heart. Thank you, SMSU and the athletic department. And I just want to wish everyone safe travels back home on their trips and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you.